Hi everyone, welcome to Values. Today we're looking at Cango. If you're familiar with the stock, you're familiar that they pay $1 dividends each time. They've done that twice this year, which means they paid about $2 per share. You look at the share price right now, it's $1.34. If they can pay out another $1 dividend, imagine how much you're really getting, which is pretty insane. A massive dividend by any chance, So our biggest question is, are they going to pay out no $1 dividends, and is it actually possible? Because have they actually just paid out all their money, or do they still have enough to continue this massive dividend that they're paying out? So firstly, we'll look at the dividend history as proof that these guys actually have paid it out. So if you don't know about the company, basically they're like the Kavana. They run a business very similar to Kavana. Except they do it in China, so then we've got a lot of other question marks there, but regarding that, the dividends that they paid is actually paid out. So that's the one thing, it's cold hard cash, so you can doubt anything else, but you can't doubt it once it actually comes into your account. And the last dividend that was to be paid out was last month in November the 25th, and they paid out $1. Prior to that, they paid it out another $1 in June the 16th. So there we go. That's really reassuring that they actually do pay out these massive dividends. And at the time, I think the share price was about $2 to $3. So in the last dividends, their share price was about $2.50. Of course, it compensated for that, and it dropped well over $1. And then basically, on June the 16th, their share price did compensate for that as well. Yeah, so basically at $3.14, and then slowly proceeded to drop to about $2.20. So in a sense, the stock definitely compensates for that drop. But of course, if you can buy it at a really good price, say like in March, the stock was at $2. Anyone that bought like at that low, and then just held it all the way to now, they would have gotten their whole share price just paid out in dividends, and they still would have a stock as well. So imagine that, right? So that's the big question as well. Is this stock actually cheap, or is it expensive? You've heard the stories. Kavana's not doing well, and the same thing here. Their business is not doing well. It's hemorrhaging money. I can go right to the part about their business, and you basically to just be short and sharp, revenue basically 58 million US dollars for the 3 months ended in September, and then it ended up them losing $18 million. So there we go. Not a really great business at all. I don't know why they continue with it, because for years they've actually just been losing money. So yeah, for the 9 months the revenue was 209 million, and out of that they lost about 77 million. So yeah, not great either. So I'll move the screen a bit more so you can actually see that $77 million loss. So overall, they don't have good business, and basically if we were to add another 20 million to that 77, you get close to 100 million, and basically that's what they're losing for the every 12 months if things continue as they are. So yeah, so not great in that sense. If we look at their debt, their short-term liabilities is 29 million for the short-term debt. Long-term debt is at 102 million. So these guys are losing about 100 million. They owe about over 130 million anyway. And yeah, there's also more long-term debt here as well, 17 million as well. So yeah, we'll round it up to 150 million. So basically these guys at least have to have well over 250 million, or else I don't think it's prudent to be paying out that. It doesn't make sense. So in terms of the actual assets that these guys have, they've got 104 million. And this was the end of September, so remember last month they paid out $1, which is well over 100 million. So in terms of the cash and cash equivalents, 104 million. Restricted cash 7 million, short-term investments, which is this one here, $379 million. So that is basically that's where they'll get dividends, get the money to pay dividends if they really need it to. So this is actually their short-term investments actually in this company called Li Auto. So Li Auto, back in basically the 25th of November. Oh, actually September the 30th. So if we go back to September the 30th, yeah, so basically the stock price was in 20s, so it's pretty accurate around what it's worth right now. So they had about $379 million worth of stock, and then the rest is to do with their business. And then if we come back to the bottom part here, restricted cash $112 million. So if we add up all the cash that potentially may be available to pay out a dividend, they more or less have about, firstly, they probably had around about 600 million. Imagine they pay out 150 million. So they still have about 450 million or around there. Or, if we lowered that to 400 million, it'll still be alright. They'll still have money to cover another 12 months of runway if they need it. But given how awful the business is, you'd think they'd actually just want to keep hold of the cash rather than pay it out another dividend. But yeah, that is another good question. Why would these guys want to pay out another dividend, given the situation of the business? I feel like they would pay out at lower dividends. Like in the 2021, which was last year, they only paid out once with $1. And in the prior year of 2020, they only paid out 25 cents. So potentially from that dollar, they may actually just lower their dividends. So when you're buying at that price of $1.34, and you potentially you may not get $1 dividends, or even if you get paid $1 dividends and a company went under, it does not make you better off. So that's one of the problems as well. But yeah, like it's certainly one thing that you could probably take a punt at it, and see if you actually could recoup all your dividends in the stock. Right now it's got enough assets to still back a few more dividend payments if they really wanted to. But apart from that, definitely one of the dividend payers to be wary of course. But in a sense, you get compensated for your risk with a massive dividend. So let me know what your thoughts are about this stock. Do you have any? Would you consider buying any in this company at all? Until then, good luck investing, everyone. If you got any questions or comments, post below.